Hello and welcome to GCS Today here on Channel 21, the program that brings you news and information from Gaston County schools. I'm Todd Hagans. On today's episode, we meet the Gaston County Teacher of the Year, Mindee Mammano, and we talk with the Gaston County Principal of the Year, Phyllis Whitworth. Joining me on GCS Today is Mindee Mammano. She is a history teacher at Stuart W. Cramer High School and also the Gaston County Teacher of the Year for 2017-2018. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Let's start by talking about Teacher of the Year. What does that mean to you?
Well, I think Teacher of the Year is a lofty title. It's an honor to be chosen. It was certainly a surprise. The way that I've kind of been able to process it is to change the name a little bit to Spotlight Teacher of the Year. I feel like there are hundreds, if not thousands, of wonderful teachers in Gaston County schools. So I feel like this year, the spotlight just happens to be on me, where I have the opportunity to be a representative for the teachers in Gaston County, a voice perhaps, and then on the flip side, I also get to grow professionally. It's been a very reflective process, and I've had the opportunity to go and meet with other teachers and to learn from them and the outstanding things that they do in their classroom as well.
Well, it really is an opportunity for you to be in the spotlight and for you to be that representative for teachers. What is it about that opportunity that you really like or that you're really looking forward to this year?
About being the spotlight?
About being in the spotlight for teachers.
I think to give a positive voice to teaching. I think sometimes the community tends to think that teachers are on the bad end of everything, not necessarily what we're doing, but we're kind of viewed that way, and I don't feel that way at all. I feel very valued at the school I'm at. I feel very valued by the parents, by the students, by the staff, and by the district. And I think to be able to put a light on that and to show some of the wonderful things that we're doing here in the district and to be able to just kind of highlight not only what we're doing, but that we are appreciated here in Gaston County.
Who inspires you to become a teacher?
I think that question is twofold. I was that little girl that just always wanted to be a teacher. I think I was born in the DNA with wanting to be a teacher. But the teacher that inspired me to actually fulfill it, his name is Mr. Jones. He was my high school teacher. I went to a very small high school. So he taught me at 9th, 10th, and 12th grade English. And he was passionate about what he taught. I loved literature because of him, not before him. But more than that, he loved the students and he loved the profession. And he just kind of, he treated the students and the content like it was real. And it wasn't just in a book anymore. And so he really inspired me to go forward. And I've kept in touch with him. And I mean, he continued throughout his career to do the same thing. And so.
Now, your story, you're not a North Carolina native.
I'm not.
Tell us how you came to North Carolina, how you ended up here in Gaston County.
I think that might be twofold as well. The initial thing, I was in Ohio. I went to college in Ohio. My husband, Jason, I met him in college, and he's from New York. And so once we kind of both decided to be in the teaching profession, we couldn't decide between Ohio and New York. And so we decided, let's just adventure and find somewhere. And Gaston County and several other counties throughout North Carolina sent representatives to a teacher fair at Ohio University. And we didn't know anything about North Carolina, but we had the pick of counties. There was a teacher shortage at the time. We were offered contracts that week. We did not take them. We came down and Gaston County kind of won us over. And that's what got us here. We stayed for 5 years, we built a life together, and then we had our first child. And we went home, we needed family. But the short of it is we lived up north for 8 weeks and then made some phone calls to come back. We'd fallen in love with the community. We had a church family, we had friends, we both worked for the Gaston County schools, and it just wasn't the same anymore. So we came on a fluke, but we stayed because we just kind of fell in love with it.
And we're glad you're here. And we're glad you stayed
with us
in Gaston County. Now, you are a history teacher.
I am.
And sometimes people think history, gosh, that is so boring. What do you do in your classroom to make history come to life for your students?
I really try to do that almost every day if I can. I do it every day, actually. I started out as an English teacher. That English teacher really inspired me to do that. And when we came back to North Carolina, they didn't have any English positions. But I was dual certified, so I taught history. And it was not my passion, and it was not exciting, and I did not bring it alive. And after a year, my principal said, we don't have an English position, you're gonna have to stay. And so I went to a workshop called Bring History Alive, and that changed everything. They taught strategies, but since then I've kind of honed them and made them my own. So my overall goal is to show students that history is not dead in the textbook. Every place that we are today came from some event, probably a flawed character who tried something and succeeded in it. So we have debates. Tomorrow we're debating loyalists versus colonists. We have protests. On Monday we're going to play tug of war to show how the colonists were able to win. I try to put them in the shoes of history so that they can see that it's not just events and dates that end when you put the book cover down.
No, it's American history,
yes,
correct?
That's where I am, yes.
Is there a time period in American history that you really love teaching, and a time period that you get the most response from your students?
I love right now in my curriculum, I love the founding principles. I love the beginning of history, and I didn't until I started teaching it and really discovering the struggles that our founders went through and how they looked all over the world to find the perfect fit. And I love teaching that part because it's so relevant today. I taught civics for a few years, and I think that kind of trickles into what I'm teaching right now. And as far as the response, the students, they tend to respond to that struggle. And I try to put them, like I said earlier, into the shoes of these weren't perfect men and women later, but these weren't perfect people. But if they can see the mistakes, I mean, Chris Columbus thought he was in India. Then if they can apply that to their own lives, they tend to respond a little better. And then they respond to the wars very much. They like to read about those.
What do you think your students say about you? If we polled your students, what would they say about you as a teacher?
Well, I would hope that they walk away saying that I made an impact on them, any kind of impact. The chances of a large number of my students teaching history is very, very slim. So it doesn't even have to be that historical impact, although I hope they walk away with an appreciation for history. But so much of teaching is teaching those soft skills, and you never know when you're going to plant that seed. I had a student last week come and ask me for a letter of recommendation. I taught her last year, a couple years ago, and she said that she wanted me to write it because I changed her entire future and what she wanted to major in and where she wanted to go to school. So I said, history? And she said, no. I said, education? She said, no, costume design. And I said, well, how? And I had played a couple songs from the Hamilton CD while we were talking about the New Republic. And she said that just opened her eyes. She's always been artistic. And it just opened her eyes to a whole new world. And since then, and now the college she's choosing, the major and everything revolves around that. So I would hope that my students would say that somehow I planted something, be it history related or otherwise.
So you feel like you're making a difference?
Absolutely. I sure hope so. In 100% of the students, I sure hope so.
Well, congratulations on being the Gaston County Teacher of the Year for 2017-2018. It's an outstanding honor. It's well-deserved, and we appreciate everything that you do for Gaston County Schools, for your students. And we appreciate you being with us here today on GCS Today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it as well. I'm happy for the opportunity.
You are watching GCS Today here on Channel 21. We will be right back. Joining me on GCS Today is Phyllis Whitworth. She is the principal at Belmont Central Elementary School and also our Gaston County Principal of the Year for 2017-2018. Congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
Let's start by talking about Principal of the Year. What does that mean to you?
That means a wow moment. That means really, I think about my colleagues and I know how much they do, what a great job they do. And I just say to myself, I'm filled with gratitude that someone saw something in me that stood out. And so it makes me want to do a lot of self-reflecting. What is it that I'm doing that's so different, so innovative or creative? And really, I say there's not much that I'm doing any different than the others. Maybe it's my love, it's my passion, it's my drive, it's the way that I do my job. And I'm helping others, and that's been a good thing for me.
So you, in the role as Principal of the Year, do you see yourself being a role model for other principals?
I guess we get that title just by the nature of the job, but I really see myself more as a team player. I think we as principals in Gaston County Schools have an unwritten statement that we're here to help. I feel like I can call any of them for an idea or help, and I hope they feel the same about me.
What is your day like as a principal?
Well, my day is very busy, but it's exciting. So I start out in the morning making sure that I'm greeting family, children, and my staff. We get our morning announcements started, and then I want to be as visible as I can, going in and out of the classrooms and just trying to help wherever I'm needed.
And I know that a focus for you is what goes on in that classroom. That's a priority for you.
Definitely, because that's where it all happens. And we want to be sure that we're providing our students with the best quality education that we can. And I want to see a lot of engagement, a lot of teachers working with the students one-on-one, small groups, just trying to help them become better.
Now, we have celebrated the theme of homegrown in Gaston County Schools, our employees, our teachers being homegrown. You're one of our homegrown
Definitely.
employees. Graduate of Ashbrook High School, this is your home. What made you decide to dedicate your professional life, your career, to Gaston County schools?
Well, Mr. Higgins, I'll tell you, you know the saying, it's a poor frog that won't praise his own pond. And I feel like me having been reared here, attended the schools here, that's a great legacy for me to give back to this community, who's the community that has done so much for me, and for all of the teachers that inspired me and helped me become a better person. And so if I can do that in turn, help these students to thrive and grow and to become productive citizens, I think that that's a good part of my life that I can say was well done.
You know, and I think it says a lot about you, and you set an example for your students. Learn here, grow up here, be here, come back here and live here, belong to this community. I think that says a lot.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, as a principal, you have to have something that motivates you. What is that motivation that keeps you going?
I think it's the smiles that I see on the children's face each morning. I know our school, as you know, it starts with grade 2. And this year, I have a student, if I'm the one that gets him out of his car, open the car door for him, he says, beep, beep, beep. And my response is, wide load coming through. And he starts smiling, his dad starts smiling, and that just sets my day. Just being able to be around those children and see the smiles and the joy that they're experiencing.
How important, and does it make your job easier to know that you've made those connections? You've made those connections with students, your teachers, and your parents. How does that make it easier what you do?
Oh, yes, definitely. I tell you, my son said something to me when I won Principal of the Year. He says, Mama, not that you need to be validated, but it sure does feel good to be shown some love every now and then. And so that's what keeps me going, and the drive to know that we're interacting with one another and helping each other feel better each day.
Now, when you have students, let's say students at Belmont Central, they go on to middle school and then they go on to high school. you know, if you would see them 5 or 10 years down the road, what do you hope they would say about Miss Whitworth, my principal when I was in elementary school? What would you want them to say about you?
I would want them to say that Mrs. Whitworth chose the right career, that she loved and enjoyed every minute and every day of what she did, and that she loved us and she was there for us. And something that they could remember that maybe I said, I did, or a smile that I gave to them that helped them along their way.
What motivated you to select a career in education? You've played every role, right?
Yes.
Teacher, assistant principal, all the way up to the principalship.
Yeah.
Why did you decide that? What motivated that?
Definitely. I think as a little girl, and like most people, I played school with my dolls in my bedroom. I played school with my neighborhood friends in the neighbor's basement. And Miss Sis Moore was the neighbor. She's the first person that I feel like believed that I could become what I wanted to become. She told my mom, one day she will become a teacher. Miss Sis didn't live long enough to see that happen, but I believe she knows that it happened. And then I just continued on through high school, tutoring younger students, went on to college. I just knew this is what I wanted to do. And Gaston County Schools gave me that opportunity. I've been able to work at several schools, had a great experience at every school that I've been employed. And Mr. Higgins, some people may not know, I was a teacher assistant at Gardner Park from August until January, until I got my first teaching position.
So you really have played all the roles from the very beginning up to being the
Yes.
principal. Now, share with us, what is the secret to your success?
I think it's understanding yourself and knowing what your drive is and what do you want others to feel about you, and being a servant leader. What is it that I can do to help somebody else, and not really worrying about if I get credit, if I get praise, but I'm doing something that's going to be a lasting something. And I think that is one thing that keeps me going.
Well, you are a great role model for your colleagues. You're a great leader for your school, and we congratulate you on being the Principal of the Year for Gaston County for 2017-2018. It's a tremendous honor, well deserved, and we really appreciate you being with us here today on GCS Today.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins.
Thank you for watching GCS Today. Stay tuned to Channel 21 for the latest school news and information. We look forward to seeing you next time.